Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. What a crazy week this has been. I'm loving it. It's just fabulous. Anybody who works in human trafficking, which I guess I need to tell you I do, is loving all the stuff that is going on. So this show is brought to you by an organization called Million Kids, millionkids.org, not .com, that's a rock band. So millionkids.org. And if you don't follow us, then you are missing out, okay? Because we have been operating right here in the Inland Empire for the last 15 years. We serve as the Training and Outreach Coordinator Advisor to the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. That's a group of amazing men and women, and yes, some incredible women, and they report to the Riverside County Sheriff Department, but they also work with all the local police departments like Riverside PD and Beaumont PD and Hemet Police Department and like that. And out in Palm Desert, we go all the way, of course, to the Arizona border. And Riverside County is an interesting county. They have 7,200 square miles that we all look out for victims of human trafficking. And one of the things that we have known, especially over the last 4 years, just really intensely, is there has been a massive influx of people from other countries coming into our country, and not every one of them are being exploited, but there is a larger number of them being exploited. And I, for one, am just over the moon excited about the fact that we are finally going to close these borders. I never understood why anybody would want to loosen up the requirements for immigration. I don't get that. You've often heard me talk on this show here that, when you overrule the rule of law, which is exactly what a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state does. When you do away with the rule of law, you basically have one government group and agency and leader, such as the governor of the state of California, telling you that there are certain laws we don't have to obey. But they want you to obey the ones they put in. And I say that formula just never works, because if you don't have a vetting process coming across our border, then you no longer have a country and you no longer have a border. And so for the last 4 years, we've had a large number of people come into our country who we don't know who they are. And this is a challenge if you work in human trafficking. And that's what I want to talk about today, is how are people trafficked in the U.S. that come here from foreign countries? And they can come in legally or without documentation. And I'll share some cases that we've had right here in the Inland Empire exactly about that very subject. And it's interesting. Now, if you come in without documentation, you are more at risk. Why is that? Because organized criminal groups know that you are afraid that you're going to get deported, or afraid that you're going to be taken advantage of, and they will prey on people who come in without documentation. We all know that for a very long time now, the various criminal organizations have controlled that border. And what happens is they often negotiate with a person coming up here for a fee to cross the border. We call that paying your coyote, but that's what happens. Now, this is not the first place they're paying a fee. People from China pay fees coming across depending on where they're coming in from, whether they're coming in from Eastern Europe or from China or other areas. And they are often charged more fees. In fact, I've often wondered about that, because people coming from Guatemala might pay $6,000 to $10,000, and people coming from China might pay $40,000. You talk about discrimination. How is that okay? And yet our government, by doing away with the rule of law over the last few years, have allowed that very thing to happen, and nobody talks about it. And so what happens there is if you don't pay your fee, then they start to, prey on you. And a lot of people will get here thinking they paid that fee, but when they get here, then they charge them more. Well, where are they going to go? The Consumer Better Business Bureau? I mean, if they've got a hold of you and they want more money, you have to come up with more money. That is because certain people decided to do away with the rule of law. So people say to me, how has all this affected human trafficking? And what constitutes human trafficking? Well, there is a difference between smuggling and trafficking. Let's do that one right off the bat. Trafficking is not smuggling per se. And you can be trafficked even if you came in legally, but you're going to be more vulnerable if you come in without documentation and if you're being smuggled in. So in smuggling, the difference between trafficking and in smuggling, you pay your coyote money, whatever the going rate is, and they bring you in and you cross the border, and nobody really wanted to hear about it, but the truth is you're a criminal because you have violated a federal law. Now, nobody seems to really want to hear about that in parts of California, but that's what it is. If they release you, then okay, you've broken a federal law, but you are not a victim of human trafficking. However, if they decide they're going to bring you in and then they don't let you go, they put you in a drop house or what they call a stash house. And there are drop houses all over California and all over Arizona, all over Texas, all over Florida, where they bring you in and hold you until you or your family back home comes up with more money. And it's not cheap bucks. I mean, usually these are like an additional $6,000, $8,000, $10,000. And if you come from parts of Guatemala, you probably don't have that money, or your family doesn't. And that is when you begin to be violated. So smuggling, you come in, you pay your money, you're free to go. You're not a victim of trafficking. But if they bring you in here and they don't let you go, and they start to extort money from you or hurt you physically or hurt you sexually, suddenly you are a victim of trafficking. What defines human trafficking is force, fraud, fear, and coercion. Okay? I said that inappropriately. Let's do it again. Force, fraud, fear, or coercion. It can be any of the above. Now, let's just take it as, let's say you're a U.S. citizen, and, let's say you want to go out and make some extra money by doing commercial sex. You are not a victim of human trafficking if you decide to do that, okay? But what happens is people start to prey on you. Some guy will come along going, hey, baby, you're hot, I'll manage you. And pretty soon they're giving you a quota, or they're moving you around, or they're advertising you online. And they are giving you something related to force, fraud, fear, or coercion, meaning they're giving you threats. They're taking your money. They're making you afraid. You're not free to go. So even if you went into the business as an adult willingly, if you have force, fraud, fear, or coercion, you have become a victim of trafficking. So it doesn't matter at that point if you're from the U.S. or not. If you're engaged in that kind of thing and somebody's holding you against your will or making threats to you, then you are a victim of trafficking. If you're under the age of 18 and you're engaged in commercial sex in the state of California, you are a victim of trafficking. I don't care if you decide you want to be out there willingly. Now, our laws are pretty squishy, okay? They're a little wishy-washy when it comes to that, because it may be that you're only engaged in a misdemeanor, depending on the situation, how violent it is, and what your actual age is. But under the age of 18 in the state of California, if you are engaged in commercial sex, you are a victim of sex or labor trafficking, depending on the situation. So I will tell you that I am over the moon excited, as I said, to see somebody making an effort to at least draw a line in the sand to stop the flow of other people being brought in here where they can end up being violated. We do not have enough resources for all the people that have been brought in that are being violated right here in the state of California. And it is going to change, I believe, once as this border is closed. Then all of a sudden we have some hope of being able to recognize the victims and take this on. My name is Opal Singleton. It is break time, so stay with us. We're going to be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, let me tell you about my favorite restaurant in Riverside, Monarch Asian Bistro. The atmosphere and decor are simply stunning. The service is great too. It's a wonderful environment for a romantic dinner or a family get-together. It's not just another Chinese restaurant. The Monarch Asian Bistro is upscale and it serves Thai food as well as unique Asian-inspired dishes that are just fabulous. My favorite is the pad see ew beef. My husband likes the orange chicken, and the Chinese chicken salad is always great. Our friends sometimes order the Emperor's Choice or Monarch steak. It is my favorite go-to place. Go ahead and give it a try. It's Monarch Bistro in Riverside, Canyon Crest Town Center next to Ralph's. They are open for lunch and dinner every day but Tuesday. Go ahead, give it a try. You're going to love it.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the four most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of an organization called Million Kids, and we have been combating trafficking, human and sex trafficking and labor trafficking right here in Southern California for a very long time. Our real role, though, is prevention and intervention. That is what we do. We get involved and we do everything we can to keep people from becoming victims of trafficking. I frankly have never met a young person yet that wanted to be trafficked or wanted to be violated. What I find out, though, is most of us don't understand how all this takes place and what can we do to keep our kids and also those people that are being brought in from foreign countries and keep them safe from predators and keep them from being violated. A lot of it is understanding how human trafficking works and how it ends up. Now, I'm going to just give you some quick trends in trafficking that I've been dealing with for a long time now, since I've been dealing with this. The foreign national cases, that is people from outside the United States. That could be someone brought in from China, someone brought in from Cambodia, someone brought in from Guatemala or Eastern Europe. These sex trafficking rings are very large scale right here in the Inland Empire. We've had several cases like this. They're usually multinational if you're dealing with foreign national. They're multi-state. They may be taking place here in California, but then the victim might be moved off to Chicago somewhere or another state, maybe Arizona. Believe it or not, these big organized crime rings are led by females, and they're usually about using people to make a lot of money in illicit sex or unpaid labor, and it's all about money laundering. Now, domestic sex trafficking, that's when our kids get involved in it, okay? This is developed because of gangs, and gangs will use their gang guys to seduce our girls, and it's often taking place at school or through a dating site. They may be multi-state, and they're almost always associated with other crimes. But one of the things I would tell you is that gangs are changing. You know, they're not like they used to be. You don't used to see them standing around on the street corners with their boombox and their baggy pants and their chains. You don't see that anymore. They've got money because of all their illicit activities. They use high-tech technology. A lot of times it's encryption on there. And they will often use social media, dating sites and hookup sites to find the prey, the people that they're going to prey on. Social media is used in 90% of the cases involving in trafficking, and they are using advanced technology. They may use it for sextortion, where they lure somebody in and they talk them into getting a nude pic out there somewhere, and the next thing you know, they're being blackmailed. They will recruit. They will make it look like fun. When I go out and speak to schools, we talk about how so many of your gangs now are using video gaming and a lure of easy money to get our kids to go to the border to bring in other people and also bring in drugs for what it's worth. So all of this is going to challenge the law enforcement for chain of evidence, especially if they're using technology that is encrypted. And so it's an interesting thing that is happening. One of the things I want to share with you is it really doesn't matter what your age or your gender, your ethnicity, your nationality, your sexual preferences, and even somewhat if you're documented or undocumented. Anyone can be a victim of human trafficking, whether it's sex or labor trafficking. However, if you are coming in here breaking the law and you don't have the documentation, you are going to be much more vulnerable in that situation because they know that you're living in that underground economy. You know, all too often when people come in from foreign countries and they become victims of trafficking, they are often arriving in our country without resources. Many of them don't know, they don't speak English, they don't know where they're at, they know that they probably need some documentation that they may not have. Most of them will come in without a job, and they will often owe money to some other group that got them in here. So they have arrived from a foreign country in many of the cases where someone's assisted them in getting here. But when they get here, they'll accept a job, not even understanding what the job is all about and what they're expected to do. One of the things that I have seen when I've looked at the issue with Chinese and especially Thai trafficking, so many of them came in with the idea that they were going to, work in the restaurant business and that kind of thing. And that so many of them lost their jobs during COVID, and they find themselves being put into like growing illegal pot. And think about that. We had a case right here in Riverside that Sheriff Chad Bianco asked for assistance on out in Sage and Anza, outside of Temecula, a large Laotian group. There was a murder. I think it was 6 people, could have been 8. I can't remember that right now. But they believe that those people were brought in from a foreign country and put out to do hard labor on illegal pot grows. And apparently they got in a dispute and there was a shootout, and most of them died in that case. But it is because of the fact that they are living in this underground economy that makes them so vulnerable. One of the things that you can do is pay attention to your community. Know everybody on your block. If you have a rental house, know your landlord. and get acquainted with that landlord there, and keep an eye on that house. Is all of a sudden people living there, but they don't seem to have a normal life? Maybe the doors are locked a lot. People come and go late at night. They don't have the normal family activity. They may have an attached garage that vans pull in late at night and come back. If you see something like that, don't get yourself involved in it, but do make an anonymous call. You can fill out a complaint for your code enforcement, but I recommend that you just use your non-emergency number for 911, and not 911. Do not call 911. Let's get that straight, okay? Use the non-emergency number for your local law enforcement, and just let them know, there's a house down the street that seems a little bit odd to me. It doesn't have normal behavior. Everything's locked up all the time. It kind of looks like maybe there's a lot of people there, but you don't see them. And just let them know that. Do not get involved. Don't get yourself down there and start knocking on the door and getting nosy, okay? That isn't healthy for you or the whole community. But there's nothing wrong with reporting something like that you see. But that is one of the things that is happening with so many people coming in without the documentation. Now, I'm very, very excited about the change in strategy on that border. I don't think our country could have taken much more of that kind of thing, because you don't know who they are. Many of the people that are across that border that have come in are really, really fine people, and they want to make a contribution to our society. They're willing to pay the taxes and do what they need to do to have a normal life. And we're not against those people whatsoever. However, we also know that if they don't have documentation, they're more vulnerable. And that is the scary part of what is going on. So I'm not sure exactly how all this is going to play out. I'm not sure if the Trump administration has a clear view of it. But I support what they're saying is that the first we need to go after people who have a criminal history. And I agree with that a whole lot. The other thing I would caution you is pay attention to your neighborhood to make sure there's not like an illegal pot grow in there. If you see a house that's all closed off with maybe a little electrical wires coming out of it, or people aren't coming and going like normal, these are taking place right in your own neighborhood. Again, don't get yourself involved. These illegal pot grows, you can kind of tell because they're really closed off. Again, they don't have normal activity on there, but you can see that it isn't really anybody coming and going, but somebody lives there. I would just simply suggest to your non-emergency number that somebody pay attention to it, or you can do that by contacting code enforcement. The other thing you can do is report it anonymously at 1-888-373-7888. Let me give you that number again. That is 1-888-373-7888. And that is the national hotline, the Polaris hotline. And you can report anonymously. Now, don't expect that something's going to happen in the next 24 hours after you report. These things take time. There's processes for investigation, but you've done your duty. My name is Opal Singleton. It is break time, so stay with us. We're going to be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and I am the host of your show and also the president and CEO of Million Kids. Today we are talking about my enthusiasm, my excitement about the fact that we are finally going to do something about our border. And I don't know how it's all going to play out. People ask me, well, does it increase the amount of trafficking? You bet it does. We don't know how much yet because nobody really has been able to get in there and find out what's happening because the flow of people has been so strong for the last 4 years that we can barely handle it all. Let me tell you about a case that took place right here in Riverside. Actually, that's not totally true. It took place in Colton. But this was discovered out of Ventura, but it was the Paredes family case. And in this case, the mother of this family lived in Mexico. I don't believe she's ever been arrested, by the way. But her thing was to go throughout Mexico and convince moms that their 14, 15, 16-year-old daughter ought to pay a coyote and come to the U.S., and she will get them into school and get them a job with the family business. Well, the family business I have here in front of me was not like their mother thought it was going to be, quite frankly, and it all changed quite dramatically. This all started for us with a investigation out of Ventura County. So I point that out because a lot of these foreign national cases are very large, and they cover multiple areas. In this case, it started out of, I think it was Oxnard, and they were running out of the Royal Spa there. That's a front for like a massage business. A cool sculpting business. I never would have believed that was a front for sex trafficking. Anyway, the Sunset Skin Care, the Gym Skin Care, the Cosmopolitan Spa, the Orchid Skin Care, and the Fashion Spot. So what is happening here is these girls are not getting into school. They owe a coyote money, and this woman knew that when she sent them up here. Her son and daughter and granddaughter were all part of a ring. This is all about using young girls for sex, for paid sex, out of businesses where the money is going back to the Mexican cartel. And in this case, it started when they interviewed a young girl who was obviously not an adult up there by Ventura, and they said, this is wrong. This is really wrong what is going on here. They began to find out that business, who owned that businesses, and it turned out that the business were actually operated by a family right out here in the Inland Empire, and they're working under false names. So they are doing this in Ventura County, Riverside, and San Bernardino County. And literally what is happening is these young girls are being put out for sex. Well, think about these poor kids. I mean, they wanted to come to the U.S. Everybody else is. Why can't they? Except they got caught up with this group of organized crime. And so here they are. They're not having the life they were promised. They were being violated, physically violated. These kids are 14 to 16 years old, physically violated in these businesses, and all the money is going back home, and they're not getting any of the good life. They're being moved around, and they're being threatened on a regular basis. This is the kind of thing that happens when you decide to do away with the rule of law. Then the organized crime are the one that is actually putting this together. We've had several of these cases that are taking place throughout California and even in our own community. I was very, very proud of the police departments in these cases because they all went together, and this was a huge operation to put it together. Riverside County Sheriff Department, and I want to give them a shout out. You know, our Human Trafficking Task Force is probably the very best in the nation. They have been federally funded. They're led with just really quality leadership. They have about 8, depending on the time of year, but about 8 to 12 people that do this full time, that go out in the middle of the night when you and your kids are sleeping, and they go after the worst of the worst. It's called RCAT, Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. And I'm just proud as I can be to get to know them and be with them and like that. I've worked with that task force actually under 4 different sergeants. And since the very day they opened in January in 2010 is when we first had the concept. But it also involved the Human Trafficking Task Force of San Bernardino County. And I got to work with them last week over on Saturday afternoon, working with a whole group of young people that wanted to learn more about that. But it also meant that it involved the Santa Paula Police Department, the Simi Valley Police Department, Oxnard Police Department, the Highway Patrol, yes, Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and victim service providers. Because once these girls are rescued, they have serious victim service needs. We can't just pull them out there and go, okay, you go home now. These people are victims, and they probably will get to stay, and they will get victim services. But they have been trafficked right here on U.S. soil, right here in our own community. And that takes place because we have allowed that to happen when we went through an organization that says, okay, we're not going to follow the rule of law anymore. We're going to just let people in, and those are government organizations. You know, the other thing that often happens is people are brought in, and they're brought in legally, and this situation is not going to stop that. But I want you to be aware of it, especially in those illicit massage parlors and skincare and, happy feet and, all of those kinds of things. You see these businesses and you see people from Southeast Asia, from Vietnam, from Thailand. And by the way, just because it says Thai massage somewhere does not make them a victim of trafficking, nor does it mean that someone's being exploited. I am not against a good massage. I love a good massage myself, but I want it to be legitimate if we're going to hire those services. And I want it to be exactly what you're expecting, and that is either a facial or just a massage and not a happy ending. So pay attention to these kinds of things, because these illicit businesses have people in them that are being violated, that are being taken advantage of. And, they often don't even know what town they're in or what name they're operating under. And then they will move them about every 6 or 8 days. So half the time, these people don't know where they are in this. They just can't get free. But they themselves, even if they came in legally, if they got caught up in that kind of business, can be very serious victims of human trafficking. When I go into the next section, we'll talk about the group that worked out of San Gabriel. We see quite a bit of trafficking that often starts in San Gabriel, Pasadena, that area, and comes out into this part of the country. And they will move these young people around that are being violated. They're being forced to sell sex. And in their case, they were using a lot of adults that had come in from China and Korea. This was a man by the name of Jerry Wang, and he did just get 30 years for what it's worth. One of the good things about it is that there is a lot of law enforcement that want to prosecute these crimes. And if we can get the evidence, if we can get somebody to bring it to our attention and help us find out that somebody is being victimized, The people that are violating them can pay a very large fine. That many of them go to prison for 20, 30, 40 years in those cases, as they should, because they are absolutely destroying people's lives for many, many years and for personal gain. These people are making millions of dollars by abusing and using other people, and that never works out well. So don't be afraid to report human trafficking, and we'll talk about some of the signs to look for in the next section. But a lot of this is coming from the fact that they came into our country, and these are people that are on the edge of life, that are being violated, are being held against their will, are being moved about, are being advertised out on dating sites and sex sites. The other thing that I would caution you is be careful about buying sex on those sites. You get mixed up in that. First of all, they film you, along with whoever you've hired, and you can be as much at risk as anybody else that's out there. And on top of it, you're exposing yourself and your whole family to some foreign national overseas cartel. And the group out of Los Angeles a while back was operating out of Bangkok. And so pay attention to that. Why would you ever want to submit your family to that kind of problem? My name is Opal Singleton. The organization's called Million Kids. It's break time. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited, Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited, Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590. The Answer.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens, and she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We are talking about human trafficking right here in the Inland Empire, both sex and labor trafficking, and what you can do about it. But I'm also telling you that I believe we're probably going to discover many cases as this begins to unfold, and we begin to find the people that are hiding in the shadows there, that are being abused and being taken advantage of as they begin to go in and take people out of our country who should never have been here in the first place, especially people who are already convicted criminals. Very few people wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'm going to be a pimp, or I think I'm going to go out and exploit people. These are people that come from organized crime, and these are huge operations. And now that we have this situation where they are going to remove those people, I for one, am very grateful, and I hope that will give a lot of courage to people to come forward and say, I've been a victim of trafficking. Can you help me? Nobody is interested in that deportation of victims of trafficking. We are interested in helping people who have been severely and highly violated. I want to share with you a case that's older now, but it was an interesting case because I thought you might find it interesting because of the way that the law enforcement discovered this case. It was one of those storage unit deals, like you see on TV, and people go in and they buy a storage unit and they don't know what's in it and like that, but they're sure they're going to get a deal, So in this particular case, once they got in there, they found boxes and boxes and boxes of condoms. In fact, over 36,000 condoms they found in a storage unit. Now, these condoms, as it turns out, came from Amazon. Shame on them. Yes, I'm an Amazon user too, but shame on them. In my case, I was very privileged to educate OfferUp up in Washington State. But nobody should have ever shipped out an order of condoms for 36,000 condoms unless it's the division headquarters for Rite Aid somewhere, okay? Because of the fact that should have got somebody's attention. It was an interesting thing because, pimps, they don't go to Rite Aid and buy 2 or 3 condoms. They don't do it that way. They buy large quantities. And we need to train our people here in the U.S. that if you get an order for somebody like that, you need to find out who's ordering it and where it's going and like that. As they got involved in this particular case, it turned out to be an Asian sex trafficking ring from girls from China and Taiwan that were being brought in here. And there were 6 suspects, 5 women and a man. And again, these foreign national rings are usually ran by women. They were distributed all over the state. They were kept in huge Amazon boxes on a crate. When the traffickers removed the condoms, they were getting rid of the manufacturer's lot number on the packaging, so law enforcement couldn't track back where they came from. But when you think about the fact that there's 36,000 condoms, you think about the size of this particular ring, and it is absolutely massive. It was literally multi-million dollars was taking place. The traffickers used a call center to dispatch couriers, and they were sometimes disguised as Lyft and Uber drivers. So let me just share with you, I was talking about the Jerry Wang case a minute ago over in San Gabriel. What happens here, and I hope that you shake your head the same as I do on this, because the first time I read this, I thought, holy cow, can this possibly be true? But what happens here is that these are very large-scale foreign national rings. You sign up. One of them was being ran on supermatchescort.com. I can give you that name now because that site's been shut down. But you, the buyer, call in there or text in there or make contact, and you order up what you think you're seeing on your ad and ask that person to be delivered to a certain address. What is happening there is you're going into a telemarketing center. We had one right down here in Temecula. She was the dispatcher for an organization up in Oregon and Washington State, and she used geolocation software. So you think you're talking to Susie that you're looking at online, and instead of that, you're getting a telemarketer, a dispatcher that you're reaching that you don't even realize is literally 3 states away. And she uses geolocation software to send that person out. Now, you're going to recognize when she shows up, that isn't the person you ordered. But what happens is people are, once they get in that deep, they decide they're going to stick with it. Well, that's what was happening with this kind of setup with all of these condoms, is that it was a large-scale foreign national ring where literally hundreds of young girls from foreign countries are being forced into commercial sex, and they don't get the money. What happens is they send the driver out with the girl. You pay the driver, not the girl, and all that money is used to advance cartels. That is why it is called human trafficking. But I hope this has been enlightening for you. People ask me, where's this going to go with the border? I have no idea. I do know we have a lot of people who are being victimized, and then we have a lot of victimizers. I do hope that I know this is going to be a tough job, because once you start breaking the rule of law, it's real hard to sort through who's the criminal and who's the victim. I get that. I get that in a deep, deep, profound way. But I also know that if you're in the U.S., that does not give anybody permission to violate you or to victimize you. So anybody that is here that is being trafficked has the right to get services. Then I am very, very proud of this administration, and also the administration within Riverside County and San Bernardino County, by the way. I work with them also. But we have a sheriff that wants to take this on. We have a district attorney who believes in justice. And they are people who have a humane heart, that care about the victim of this kind of thing. And we are hoping that people will come forward and ask for help, and we can begin to identify who that criminal element is that's in our community that is violating other people. Well, I hope this has been helpful to you. I deal with all kinds of trafficking and online social media exploitation. I will tell you that we are a 501c3 nonprofit right here in Riverside. If you want to donate and support our work, we would greatly appreciate it. You just go to millionkids.org, MILLION, kids, KIDS.org. And I hope that you will do that and go online and learn a lot more. We have, I think, the best resources in the nation to educate yourself about human trafficking and social media exploitation. If you want our newsletter, sign up. It's free, and you will get it once a week on your email, and you will be blown away by all the different kinds of cases that are on there. And if you want to support our work, we would greatly appreciate it. We have a couple of programs that's going on right now. We have one just to support our work, which means reaching out, helping victims. I've got one right here on my desk where a girl is in deep trouble and wants to get out, and helping them to get out and get that connection. But we also have one for foster kids right now. We're still running the foster kids bedding program. If you have it in your heart, if you're an organization that supports foster kids, for $75, you can buy a whole set of foster care bedding, okay? A comforter, some sheets, a toy, a pillow, and like that. So if you want to support our work, you just go to millionkids.org. It's got the address right there, P.O. Box 7295, Riverside 92513, or you can use your credit card, and we take all kinds of different means of payment. And you can also see our foster kid bedding program right there. For $75, you can make a foster kid happy by creating and giving them an entire package of brand new bedding that is so exciting, and they're really fun. I buy them a lot myself. We do Spider-Man and princesses and animals and dragons and all kinds of things. So it is always fun to watch kids get excited and get something new, especially if they're foster kids. So this is Opal Singleton. The organization is called millionkids.org. Please go to our website, get involved, educate yourself, look around, protect your community, and protect yourself. Folks, the most important thing you can do for your family is so they don't get involved in trafficking is let them know you believe in them. I believe that the 4 most powerful words to combat trafficking is, I believe in you. And if you want to buy one of our challenge coins, you can get those at millionkids.org. They say, I believe in you right on them, and they'll last a lifetime. You folks have a great week. Put your arms around your family. Let them know how much you love them. And I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock on AM 590.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids.